So now we will move on to the Ekbom Award presentation. And so Mr. Lou Phelps will be leading us within that. And so Mr. Phelps has done a tremendous amount of work for the RLS Foundation. He is Chairman Emeritus at this time and really has come from a personal experience and desire to really help everyone who suffers with restless legs learn more about the disease and more about treatment options available too.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. For all of those of us who have RLS, life is full of challenges. First challenge you have is finding a doctor who even knows what RLS looks like in a clinical situation and knows how to treat it. You hope that your doctor will have trained at a top-level medical institution and gotten advanced training in sleep medicine. If you're lucky, he's also a caring, compassionate individual who will listen to patients, respect their concerns about various treatment options, and at the same time inject a sense of humor into what can sometimes be a very difficult medical conversation. Our recipient today of the Ekbom Award is such a person. If you're really lucky, such a doctor also possesses an inquiring mind and is willing to apply it to this study of treatment of RLS. Such a doctor might well have conducted research that helped to lead to the approval of a frontline treatment for RLS. But he would also have recognized in the course of clinical practice that something was not right with his treatment, the dopamine agonist. After some time, too many patients were coming back into the clinic with symptoms that were worse than they had had before. Today, we're recognizing just such a doctor as the 13th recipient of the RLS Foundation's prestigious Ekbom Award. It's named for Swedish neurologist Carl Axel Ekbom, who published early reports on the disease and gave it the name we use, restless leg syndrome. The award has been granted to individuals in the past who have made great contributions to the RLS community, either through leadership roles, scientific advances, or a combination of the two. So it is my pleasure today to recognize Dr. John Winkelman, MD, PhD, Chief of the Sleep Disorder Clinic Research Program at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston. And John, congratulations.
Thank you, Lou.
I have a little more to say here, John. As I said, I hope
keep going.
You hope to find a RLS doctor who is well trained, and John most certainly is, with a PhD in psychobiology from Harvard, MD from Mass General, and residencies in both psychiatry and in sleep medicine. He has put in his training to great use in behalf of those of us who suffer from RLS. He was among the researchers who conducted studies that led to the FDA approval in 2005 of the first dopamine agonist for treatment of RLS. At that time, it seemed like a miracle drug. For many patients, the frantic feeling of RLS crawling up your legs as you try to go to sleep simply went away. But life is never simple for those of us with RLS. As John began to see in his clinical practice, the dopaminergic drugs worked wonderfully at first, but after a while, patients started coming back with symptoms that were worse. The phenomenon of augmentation became a part of the RLS lexicon. It was frustrating and disappointing. John is not the kind of a person to give up. He knew that the symptoms of many of those with RLS could be controlled effectively with a different kind of drug, opioids. But wait, isn't the nation in the midst of an opioid epidemic? Does it make sense to treat a chronic medical problem with opioids? The clinical experience of John and many other RLS specialists was, yes, but. The but was that we had very little peer-reviewed data about the long-term effectiveness and safety of opioids as the treatment for RLS as a chronic disease. But John, being the kind of person he is, set out to solve the problem. He designed and is managing a major research program to measure the efficacy and safety of RLS treatment with opioids. That RLS opioid registry, now in its third year, has more than 500 participants. Little commercial here. I'm pleased to note that it is funded by the RLS Foundation, which really means, folks, that it is funded by donations from people like you who are attending this RLS summit. The results so far from the study are very encouraging, and the data that is being accumulated will be invaluable to the RLS community going forward. You know, all the while he was doing this, John has done a ton of other stuff for the foundation. He's written and published many papers. He led in the creation of the Patient Odyssey 2 study. He's done countless webinars. He's contributed to the Mayo Revised Treatment Consensus. He's done many contributions to the Nightwalker newsletter, Ask the Doctor column, and much, much more. I recently read a magazine article about John that quoted him on his motivation for undertaking this ongoing opioid research. It went right to the heart of what sort of person John is, so I'd like to quote it now. John said, "I've been through this once with the dopamine agonist, doing what I thought was best for my patients and what was expert standard of care. It turned out not to have been a good thing. We did not anticipate that in the longer term, it would make their RLS worse. So having been through that once, I really felt like it is my responsibility to examine this in more detail so we do not make the same mistake again. It is my responsibility," he said. That is John Winkelman, responsible, thoughtful, patient-focused, dedicated. John, congratulations on behalf of the board, which is unanimously voted to recognize your work. Thank you for all that you have done for the foundation and for every person who suffers from restless leg syndrome.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you. As you can see, I'm a little bit surprised that this happened. I didn't anticipate. If I had known, I would have probably taken a shower today, and I would not be in the middle of the woods in my car with my beautiful wife at my side here, accepting this award. But it's an extraordinary honor to get the Ekbom Award. You know, I think of the people who have gotten it before, and I'm in a wonderful group of people who I respect tremendously. And this odyssey of mine. How long do I have here? Like half an hour or so to accept this award?
As long as you want.
A couple of minutes, John.
A couple of minutes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Lou. There's the voice of reality. You know, I got interested in RLS because I saw a patient way back when who had this funny symptom that nobody understood. And I realized, gosh, this is RLS. And this was in 1991, just about 30 years ago. I was in high school at the time. I'm much younger than I look, actually. And I realized I was interested in this phenomenon. There was very little in the medical literature at the time in 1990, and started looking for RLS patients to do research on and couldn't find them. So I had to go to dialysis centers to find them. And it's always been two things that have driven my research. One has been patients and what they come to me describing and their response to medications, and two, colleagues. This is an extraordinary field of researchers. It's a very small field. And so there have been, you know, not that many of us, the same 25 to 50 people over the last 30 years who have been circulating at meetings. And these two groups of people, the patients and the other colleagues, have always been so supportive of the work that I've done. And there's never a sense among colleagues of any competitiveness or feeling that we shouldn't support each other. And so this award really goes to both the patients with RLS who've suffered along with me as I've tried to help them over these 30 years, as well as to all my RLS researcher colleagues who have helped guide me through advice on research projects, feedback on papers, and support. Art Walters came up to me when I was in graduate school and was extremely supportive when I was presenting my first poster at a national meeting. This was, quite 10 years even before I started doing RLS research. So I want to thank both those researchers and patients. And of course, I want to thank the RLS Foundation, who has been always on the side of patients and on the side of researchers, trying to do the best to understand RLS better and to advocate for better treatments and a cure. And all of the leaders of the foundation over the many years in the board of directors and at the executive level, and now with Carla up front, have done an extraordinary job. And so I'm going to finish there. I just want to say thank you very much. I'm really shocked about this award, and thank you very much.
All right, can you hold up your award so everyone on
Absolutely.
The screen can see?
There it is. It's beautiful. It's heavy too.
Yeah, it's a real glass.
Yeah, I'm going to use it as a weight when I do my workouts. It's really beautiful. And if I had my glasses on, I could read it. It says, "With deep appreciation of meritorious service, the RLS Foundation presents the Ekbom Award." Very, very nice. Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Zibby. Thank you, everybody who was involved. And of course, other people on the RLS Scientific and Medical Advisory Board and the Board of Directors. Thanks.
We also
John,
thank
I think
All right.
Sheila Connolly wanted to say something, and Sheila, I'm going to allow you to talk. Are you there?
I just unmuted.
Yes, you're unmuted. Yep.
It is a delightful day for me as your patient, one of your many lucky patients, and I can't think of anyone more deserving than this award that you're receiving today. I told Carol that I would watch you on Zoom receive the Ekbom Award, and she said, "Oh my goodness, he should have received that a long time ago." You have the young people behind you, and my last comment about patients, because that's where I always am, is that recently an 89-year-old man called and asked if he could talk with me about his symptoms, which were becoming progressively more severe. We talked. I asked if he had been able to connect with the RLS website. He did that. He had done all of his research. He ended by telling me that he had a virtual meeting with Dr. John Winkelman. So he was calling for information. I said, "You have the best person in our whole area to work with you." And it was just a delightful, another delightful story about the human being you are. You're out there for your patients always. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. That's very nice of you to say. It's been a long time we've been together.
We have been together since the days when you came to the support group meetings in Needham over 25 years ago, answering people's questions, making presentations. It was wonderful. Yeah, it's been a long time, is right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.